7. Can you move me 7, JJ?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh,
So Monopoly
no,
game?
I don't think I did.
6, yeah, 6 Monopoly game.
You know what I should do is I should just...
You own that, right, JJ?
No, I own New York.
Probably around when I was 10, for the first time I began to notice like the difference in skin tone between people and how most people were not my skin tone.
And I remember one time, I don't remember what grade it was, but he came home and said that he had, I think he said he had black skin. And I said to him, Manny, your skin's not black. He said, yes, it is. It's much darker than other people's. And I said to him, you know, I said, you have a caramel color, you know, it's like coffee. You know, it's different than black skin. There's a difference. And he said, you know, something like, oh, well, you know, all my friends have skin color that looks different.
Yeah, I think, you know, in general, he had questions when he was growing up, you know, and I remember some questions he would ask, you know, am I white or am I brown? And, you know, you try and, you don't overcomplicate that for a kid. You say, you're a little bit of both.
Dad!
I think it was more of, not a specific moment, but just being at that age where you begin to notice more things socially about people and the community around you.
You know, I know that, you know, he definitely, you know, would deal with things like, you know, kids asking like, oh, that's your mom, or oh, that's your dad, and you know, him having to explain, you know, sort of the origins of his name, for example, right? Oh, well, I'm, you know, half Russian, quarter Puerto Rican, a quarter Peruvian, like, who is it? Who? Do you know anyone else like that?
I didn't really notice it until around like 4th or 5th grade, and then you begin to realize that you're one of the only kids who's not white in your school. And while most people don't realize it, there's definitely like undertones of people noticing it, and it's not necessarily people treat you differently, but some people will change how they act because you were a person of color. I don't know what I want. Usually, if I'm in like a predominantly white community or area, especially because, I mean, I am 50% Russian, which is usually associated with Caucasian, but my skin tone is different. And I have had people be racist towards me. I've gotten kicked out of shops before for doing nothing but being mixed race. Do you want me to read it, or do you want?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. Well, when I was younger, I didn't really realize the fact that my parents were so young, because when you're 5 years old, 23 sounds really old to you. But then as I got older, I started to realize how they raised me was pretty amazing for how young they were.
I think I would describe myself as someone who grew up incredibly confused, biculturally screwed, in a sense. Teen mother, I think as a result of part of that confusion, but ultimately was able to navigate my way to who I currently am. I was looking at old footage with my family of me as a kid, and I was always kind of a spontaneous, impulsive kid, and actually I have attention deficit disorder, so my spontaneity, I would say, was out the roof. So I was checking out a film with my family members, and there was a particular scene where I'm jumping around on the bed, and I had a doll, and there was some family member that said something like, "Oh, look at Anna, she had a baby with a white guy."
You know, there's this term that a lot of people don't know called hybrid vigor, and it's a scientific kind of biological term, and it's used when when species that sort of naturally don't mate together end up mating together, or somehow, you know, scientists, biologists get them to mate together, and they have offspring. And so in some cases, you have the case of a mule, right? Sort of an offspring of a horse and donkey, which is sterile. But in other cases, you have this complete opposite effect, like when when they would have sort of a tiger and a lion mate together, and you would get this sort of supersized cat. I mean, if you've never heard about this or seen this, I'm not making this up. You have to sort of look it up. And there really is a scientific term, and it's hybrid vigor. It basically you take the really strong and powerful components of both parents, and sort of it makes this like supersized offspring. And that's the case with the lion and the tiger that I was talking about. And so in some ways I think that's true for people as well. The way that I've always try to live my life and sort of encourage him to live his as well is that you only focus on the positive stuff. And again, you don't listen to that noise, you don't listen to that BS, so to speak, and you know who you are, and you know that you're an amazing individual, and you're someone special.